Hello everyone, Jasmine here with the People First Projects podcast. I am here joined today with Thomas and Machik from the Level Up team with a fresh topic, and we're going to put, our thoughts and feelings about how to address that topic with a people first or a human-centric approach, as we do every week on the Vodcast. And today, Machik, you've picked this topic. Thomas picked the last topic. You've picked this topic.
Yes.
And I'm curious to know why you picked this topic. But for our viewers, what is today's topic?
So today's topic is about managing, but most important, recognizing burnout in your project team members. And personally, for me, this is important because for us project managers, the worst thing that could happen with the project is that we are not stick to the date and the project is prolonging and everyone is already tired with everything. So the worst thing that you can do with this is to just try to close your eyes and avoid the problem and just trying to not talk about this. So in my opinion, it's super important to share the thoughts about this.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to start by asking you both if you've experienced this before in project management or elsewhere. But before we do, I just want to recognise that this is a really good topic. I'm glad you picked this one. I know you've got a big list of topics. But this is very real for project managers and people in project teams because it can feel very fast-paced all of the time sometimes, and particularly it can ramp up throughout the project as well. So you're operating at this very fast, very stressful or overwhelming level, and then you can even have peaks of even more intense times in that period as well, such as a go live or testing, or you're getting approval and you're presenting. So it can feel very stressful, and you're managing lots of people that sometimes, most of the time, you actually don't even have direct management of, and that's also stressful. So burnout is real for everyone, but definitely in the project management profession. But over to the two of you, maybe Thomas, have you experienced this sort of feeling of burnout?
Yeah, definitely. Perhaps not in a project sense, but definitely with the military background in sort of long training or deployment environments where it's high pressure, very little sleep, little recovery time, definitely affects people's burnout and the team morale and how you are able to show up and perform. Yeah, it definitely has a negative impact on that.
I know you said that wasn't in a project sense, but there's probably people watching this who do software deployments who have the same thing of very little sleep overnight. You're watching a screen for many hours when you should be sleeping. Absolutely, that's recipe for burnout. Machik, how about you? Have you had any burnout experiences
I just had this thought that this answer was so cool. Like I would love to go back to my military background and things like that. But unfortunately, I will go back to my project background. And
equally cool.
Yeah. Thumbs up for all of the project managers. But speaking of burnout, yes, of course. I think for all of the project managers, we love working in a project style because we love to have a certain date of the start of the project and a certain date to finish the project. So, as you mentioned, always the high pace, there's no time to rest. So we have to be always focused. And if the project is prolonging, this amount of work is prolonging, so you have to be focused longer and longer. And I had the project with the situation like that I think it was even 2 months longer that we were expecting that it's gonna happen. It was a super short project that just prolonged in this way. It was this frustration inside that you're already tired with this project. You feel this burnout rising in your body. You are not making this 100% effort to all of the tasks because you are just feeling this frustration. And for me, in the situation like that, the most important thing to do is always to have this honest conversation with project lead or someone who is sponsor of the project or anyone who is responsible for something. You just sit down, you spend half an hour to just talk about what's going wrong, why you feel this frustration, why you feel the burnout, what we can do better. So just share your thoughts, share your perspective, and this feeling of being understood by the person who is responsible for the project is, I think, something that could help to just get you out of this burnout feeling.
Yeah, agree. I want to ask you both about your strategies of how do you deal or try and get out of that period of burnout and go again because you're in a project. But before I do, I guess I'll share my perspective as a project manager and a project lead of giving people exactly what you said, Manchik, that opportunity to be transparent and upfront with how they're feeling. So I like to regularly check in, be very appreciative as well when you have resources that are on multiple things, multiple projects, or they've got a day job as well. Checking in with them, seeing what their capacity is that they've got available and how are they feeling and how you can help them. That is something I like to ask regularly and often, so that you're not expecting something that's just not reasonable for people. Even if they do make it happen, it should be the exception, not the rule. So checking in often, giving them the chance, and making it a very free space to say it's okay to say I can't get this done, or I need some help, and make it happen. The other thing that I like to ask my project team is, is the schedule or is the expectation from the sponsor or from a vendor, is that reasonable? And if it's not, I'm going to go in and champion for them as human beings to say, that's just not possible. We're not working night times. We're not doing this. We need to push back the schedule, or what do we have to do? Because at the end of the day, what's more important? Is it people, or is it hitting a date in a schedule? Sometimes you need to compromise, but most of the time, for me personally, the people are more important, because you're probably going to need them again and again to finish the project and then do the next project. So that doesn't mean let the schedule go on forever, but treat people as humans and with respect, and check in with them, and that helps with the burnout. It doesn't eliminate it, but that helps. That's my perspective of what I like to do. I want to hear from you guys though. What do you do when you're in that burnout zone? Thomas, do you have some ideas?
Yeah, I think there's an interesting concept with resilience and recovery. And a lot of people think resilience is just how you endure, how you put up with stuff. And that's a great path for burnout. Resilience is more about how you recover and giving yourself that break, like a proper break, to come up and show up and deal with the pushed out timelines or the problems that keep popping up. And I think, like you highlighted that with, we're not going to be doing night work or whatever, and almost enforcing that break on people to recover so we can turn up every day and sort of have the energy and the resilience to be able to deal with the problems.
Good call. Manchik, anything to add?
I'm amazed by all of the strategies, and I already mentioned some of my strategies, and I will just follow up to this. So I always try to jump out of this negative circle that you are just pushing yourself when there is this burnout feeling. And I always try to share my thoughts, share my feelings as soon as possible, to just mark this problem as soon as possible, to try to avoid this and to try to find the best solution as soon as possible. So I think that works for me.
Beautiful. Thank you both for your thoughts. I will leave you with this final thought. As a manager generally, or as a project lead, you definitely have to be very conscious of having light and shade with your team and how you interact. And do not, there is magic power in having those periods of time where you throw a lunch or you have a break and you have a bit of fun with the team, just to re-energize them, to help eliminate that burnout. I've got a client I'm working with at the moment that's really, really good at this. They've had a period of very intense deployments that's been happening, and this leader that I'm working with is really good at saying, time out, let's have a lunch with everyone, let's be very conscious that everyone's been working really hard and pushing back where you need to. So if you're in that situation, do that. People do appreciate a little bit of a human touch and a bit of time out, even if it is only for an hour, but it's important. So do that and be very conscious of burnout. Alright guys, thank you for joining me. Thank you for tuning in if you've made it this far in the video. We will see you next time on the People First Projects podcast. See you later.